Hello and welcome to Life According to Dana. Just wanted to stop by as always just to offer some words of encouragement and just uplift you a little bit during the course of your day. This week, just wanted to talk to you a little bit about, how we find ourselves in going through cycles or different patterns are repeating in our life. And I just wanted to just share some of my, my own experiences with you. And, it's really funny sometimes. When I'm ministering to people or counseling people, a lot of times I say, truthfully, there's no new schemes of the enemy. There's really just the faces change, but the game remains the same. And a lot of times, we find ourselves repeating things, repeating cycles, having these same patterns go over and over again in our lives. And I just want you, to take a moment this week and really look back over the last, I'm going to just say 5 years, and see if you can spot or identify those patterns that are repeating, those cycles. You can get rid of a person out of your life, but if you never allow God to deal with the actual root cause of that thing that you're involved in, you'll just keep repeating the same thing over and over again. We all talk about, different aspects of our lives, but the one that really sticks out in my mind is how we pick people, to be part of our lives. And when you're a giver or when you're kind hearted, a lot of times you attract the wrong type of person. The faces may change, but the game remains the same. You'll have people that want you to be their cheerleaders, or people that only pretty much look at you to see what they can get out of you or what you can do for them, but they never have your best interest at heart. Those are cycles and patterns that we repeat over and over again. We keep attracting the same thing. So my challenge is to identify those things, but also don't just identify them and accept them as part of your life. Allow God to heal that area, or allow God to heal that thing within you that is causing you, because we attract what we are or what we think of ourselves. And a lot of times that's the biggest issue, is what we think of ourselves. We get caught in these cycles or these patterns in life, and we just feel like we're everybody's doormat, or that this will never change, or this is just the way it is, and this is how it's always going to be. Well, the devil is a liar, and that's not so. We have the right to choose to do something different about those things and those people as well. We often don't recognize it as a cycle or something that's repeating in our lives. And you might like identify it for a minute, and then it's almost like it just evaporates or it disappears until the next person or thing comes along. And then it's like, didn't I just go through this, or wasn't this just happening, like a year ago or a couple years ago or a month ago? And at some point, you have to identify the patterns or the cycles that are repeating in your life and deal with them. Allow the Lord to reveal them to you. And I just want to pause for a moment and say, this may actually feel painful sometimes when God starts to reveal to you that these things, are happening, and they keep happening. They're repeating and repeating and repeating in your life. But I just want to encourage you. It's okay. It's okay to make errors, because we're all human and we are subject to error. And also, God is a forgiving God, and He can forgive those things when we repent, plain and simple. Don't beat yourself up too much about it, because part of the struggle and part of the healing is recognizing this as a pattern or a cycle in your life so you can do something about it. So, as we identify these things, let's bring them to the throne room. Let's bring them to the feet of Jesus and allow Him to work in us and destroy them. Because I used to, sometimes I would, say, new level, new devil. I'm sure you've heard that before, but it's also same thing, different faces, same test, same situation. The people have changed, but the thing is staying the same. It's like when the enemy finds a hole or a crack or a pinhole, whatever, in our armor, he'll use that over and over again. You know, the Bible talks about when a house is swept clean, the enemy comes back and he tries the doors. And if he gains access, he brings back seven worse than the ones that were swept out. So a lot of things that we're experiencing in these cycles, these repeat patterns, are just simply the enemy coming back and trying the doors. Sometimes he's gaining access, but if you begin to identify the patterns and the cycles that you keep repeating over and over again in your life, that will help you identify when your door is being rattled. So, as we go through this situation, or we identify this situation and we involve God in it, then this is allowing these doors to be sealed. That's allowing these doors to be just basically removed out of our lives. Doesn't mean that the enemy won't come back and try, because he has success in this area, but it's giving you the equipment, or it's giving you the discernment to recognize it for what it really is. You know, for me, it was in the area of like relationships. And this was uh romantic relationships, but it was also, I identified it in friendships as well, where people, they would come to me, you know, with their issues. And when I hear problems, I'm a strategist. So I'm constantly trying to resolve people's problems. Actually, normally while you're still talking to me, I'm trying to come up with a solution to fix what's wrong. That's just how my mind operates. And so people had begun to exploit that in me, and they knew I would identify the issues, and I would automatically want to jump in, fix it, help them fix it. And for a season, it made me like pause and not go anywhere, because I knew I would see what was wrong, and I had not learned to control that urge to fix everything. Little Miss Fix It. Yes, I was. And I had not learned to discern people's motives, and that every problem wasn't for me to fix. Sometimes we run into problems and we're meeting people in the middle of their process, where God is working things in and out of them. And here we come, little Miss Fix It, or little Mr. Fix It, and we're trying to basically put a band-aid on something that needs not only sutures, but it may actually need to be amputated. But because we're just so prone to help, you know, when you experience loss or at great degrees, or when you go through different tests and trials and you lose things, and or you just you feel like the underdog all the time, you don't want anybody else to feel like that. People will exploit that too. Just as a side note, you know, they know that you are a champion of people. You know, they know that you're a champion of people, so they don't like, you know, not to be able to access that, or be able to um not be able to challenge you to do for people. And you know, that's just something you have to get balance about. But sometimes they challenge you as far as trying to get you to respond out of your emotions instead of out of wisdom, because every fight is not your fight. But if you don't break these patterns and your cycles, that you just keep repeating this, you'll be involved in everybody's boxing match, and you'll be missing what you're actually supposed to be doing. So be careful, you know, be prayerful, and be discerning, you know, is this my fight? Is this a cycle that I'm repeating? Is this a pattern that just keeps repeating in my life? You know, inquire of the Lord which one this is. You know, it's a dangerous thing. And until it's identified as what we're talking about, until it's identified as a pattern or a cycle, you would just keep looping. You know, I think about relationships a lot, because I hear a lot, especially women, you know, talk about, you know, I want a man, or I want this, and I want this in a man. And, you know, and you get so preoccupied with that, that you just take the first thing floating down the road. But you never stop to see, maybe this is a pattern. Maybe this is how I got in the last disaster. Or maybe this is how I ended up so messed up that, you know, I don't want to deal with this ever again is because of patterns. And some of the patterns and the cycles that we're repeating, we have to allow God to break out of us. If something does not change in us, we will continue. Trust me. We will continue to make the same mistakes. We'll continue to follow patterns. If you have felt like the underdog, or you have felt that nobody acknowledges you or recognizes you for who you are or what you do or whatever, you'll be running after the wrong things. Trust me, you will. You'll be running after positions. You'll be running after titles. You'll be running after validation. And you won't even realize that's the thing that you're really running after. You're so busy trying to be validated by man that you miss the validation that's already on you from God. You have to break the pattern off. You have to allow God to heal that place of injury, because that's where it stems from. You were maybe overlooked as a child, or you maybe were overlooked in a marriage. And so now, you're looking for this validation. So the first thing or first person that comes along and tell you you're pretty, or you sing well, or something like that, or you can preach, the word, whatever. Now you all sucked up in this, and you just getting ready to repeat a cycle and repeat a pattern, and you will just lose your mind trying to get that validation. You won't even recognize that you're compromising your morals. You're compromising the things that you've already learned, just trying to get that approval, trying to get that validation. And you have to allow God to break the cycles. You have to allow God to break those areas out of your life, or you will always be running after the wrong thing. This week we talked about breaking the cycles, breaking the patterns in our lives, and identifying them. And once we identify them, surrender them to God, that He can do the work in you, so you'll stop repeating the same thing over and over. Closing note: seek God's validation, period. Amen. See you back here next time on Life According to Dana. Be blessed. Take care.